As Jerry Herman, again, as we were talking about last week, it had the biggest success of his career after Hello Dolly, but it was one of the most miserable, horrible experiences for him, primarily because of David Merrick's attitude and the way that he treated him. So, what I'm going to do now is we're going to share our screen and I'm going to walk you through the rest of what Jerry Herman accomplished, through all of the activities in his life. He really had a very different attitude about life in that he really enjoyed interior decorating, and it was that interior decorating that really kept him sane. Let me get to where we're going. There we are. I have a couple more people who have entered, so let me let them all in. I thought I had turned the waiting room off, so let me about that. I'm going to do that.
Without being
So in any event, MAME became the next project that he wanted to handle. MAME was everybody's idea. She was everybody's idea of what a great aunt would look like. And the movie, is written by Comden and Green, and again handled by Lawrence and Lee on the stage, became the idea for what Jerry Herman wanted to accomplish. It was a feel good story, and he felt after what he did with David Merrick, he needed a feel good story. It was just all too horrible. Remembering exactly the process David Merrick went through. So he wanted something really happy. So, who was going to be MAME? Well, I'm just letting a few more people in. I'm sorry, I did not turn the waiting room off. Jerry Herman and others were trying to figure out who would they like to have play Mame, and in their heart of hearts, they wanted Judy Garland. They thought she'd be absolutely fantastic. But Judy Garland was, everybody knew, just way too undependable. They knew that she'd never. Okay, wait a minute. Somebody's asked a question. Let me see if I can figure this out. Maybe there's a problem and I want to just get to the chats. Is there a problem anywhere? Any problems, anybody? No. Okay. So let me share the screen again.
Steve,
Yes.
it's Phyllis Nash. We had a power failure in Howard County that was
Okay.
supposed to last until noon, but it did just come back on maybe 3 or 4 minutes ago.
Oh, that's great. And I am recording it. So if anybody
Okay.
misses this, we'll have it
I
out
just wanted
later
to
on.
tell you, sorry.
Not a problem. So in any event, they wanted, as I said, Judy Garland, and the reality was they knew that she was just so unable to really work that the idea of having Judy Garland made no sense. So the next person they went to actually was Mary Martin, and Mary Martin turned it down. For whatever her reasons were, probably the biggest mistake of her career after turning down Hello Dolly. But they started searching, and they went to almost everybody you can practically imagine to take on the role of Mame. When it was totally unexpected that Angela Lansbury would have even been considered for the part. She had, she was sort of the well-known second-tier meanie of Hollywood, having lost several Oscar nominations, most recently in The Mother and the Manchurian Candidate, but she was a well known actress. But no one ever really knew her for her singing, except that she did have a 9-day run in the Stephen Sondheim musical, Anyone Can Whistle. And as luck would have it, Jerry Herman actually had seen her do that. They really had no idea how accomplished she would become. And it was Jerry Herman who took her under his wing for a week to get her ready for the auditions that she would have to go through. He was convinced more than anything that she was the perfect Mame.
Oh, it was just a number of wonderful circumstances. The thing that really brought me to Mame was Anyone Can Whistle, because nobody had ever seen Angela Lansbury on stage singing, dancing, playing a leading role. And they didn't know whether I could do it. Didn't know I could do it. Didn't know I had the capacity or the voice or anything else. And several people saw me, even though there were only 9 performances. And one of those people was Jerry Herman, the composer. who just had an enormous success with Hello, Dolly. And he saw me, and he was one of the few people who saw anyone can whistle. And thank goodness he did, as I say, because when the time came, he and Jerome Lawrence and Robert Lee were writing the musical version of Auntie Mame. It was going to be called, they didn't know it was going to be called Mame. In fact, they were going to call it all sorts of other things, and I said, oh, call it Mame. I said, just call it Mame. So they did. And I sort of feel slightly responsible for them making that decision.
Had Rosalind Russell originated the role?
She had originated it in the theater, certainly. She was Auntie Mame. And many other great actresses had taken it on the road, and everybody knew Auntie Mame. And then they made a movie of it. And she also played the role in the movie. But when it came to the musical, it was offered to her. And she said, no, thank you very much. I don't want to eat yesterday's dinner, or some wonderful remark like that. So she didn't do it. And the search went out to find somebody to play the role. And a lot of actresses were asked, including up till the very last minute, Mary Martin. And Mary was going to play it right up until the end. Then suddenly she bowed out. And Lucille Ball was thought of, I think, at the time, and Southern, all kinds of people. But Jerry Herman wanted me. God bless him. And well, after a lot of shenanigans, I got the part. I had to work hard for it. I had to audition a lot. And thank goodness Josh Logan was the original director, and he really didn't want me for that. And finally he was replaced with another director, and that was Gene Sachs, the director, New York director. And thank goodness Gene said yes. And so off we went, and I was Mame. I was ready for it. It was everything that I had envisioned for myself accomplishing in the musical theater. Because what I haven't told you is that all during the years at MGM, when I was battling along, playing battle axes and so on, I was running in and watching rehearsals, all of the musical rehearsals for the great musical movies that were being made on the lot at that time, with Gene Kelly and Leslie Caron and all those, and I knew all of the musical people involved, and I thought, oh gosh, this is it. This is what I really want to be doing. This is what I'm going to really love to do one day. And I really visualized myself doing it until I did. I found myself up on the stage playing Mame. I think in my gut feeling was, yes, it was going to be okay. The audiences were so overwhelmingly encouraging, and they loved the show. They loved the book of Mame. Mame's a wonderful story about a little boy and his aunt. It's a winner. You can't go far wrong with Mame. However, I had to prove that I could really be the big star. And I'd never done that, never had that opportunity to really be the star of the show. And it took me quite a while to take stage, to become that character, and to become a star. Not just Angela Lansbury playing the role of Mame, but I had to be this larger-than-life person. And I'd never really done that before. And it took all of those weeks on the road for me to really garner the strength and the understanding and the nous, as my friend Kate Hepburn would say, to take stage, That's a wonderful moment when you decide you're going to do it. You go for it and you do it. It's like running the mile in 4. When I saw my name first, when it was written up over the marquee of the Winter Garden Theater on Broadway, it said Angela Lansbury in Mame, and my name was in the same size as Mame. And that was a day to remember. I mean, that was it. I'd arrived because I was carrying the show, and it was working, and we were sold out. It was very thrilling, very, very exciting.
The product land, the aquatic amphibia.
Well, this is a season when
I just want to remind you that What's My Line was always used to promote recent Broadway or movie events. And once again, true to form, Angela Lansbury promoting MAME ends up the week of the opening on What's My Line.
When you appear in pictures, is it your wont to raise your lovely voice in song?
No.
3 down and 7 to go, Miss Francis.
Are you, however, raising your voice in song this season in a play on Broadway?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Is it therefore, not the smartest question I ever asked, but since I'm in the middle, I might as well finish it, a musical?
Yes.
Sherlock Holmes has nothing on me.
Miss Lindstrom?
Are you in a play that was a very famous book and has been made into a film by a very famous Hollywood actress?
Yes.
Say it.
I know.
Well, say it.
Angela Lansbury.
Right. Using the idiom, this is one time when it is not overused or abused. A smash is what MAME is called, a real smash.
And she's the reason for it, I would like to add.
At the Winter Garden here in New York, and it's nice to know where it is, but it's awful hard to get into. But
Oh, wow.
that's
Miss
wonderful.
Lansbury, don't you think you could sing one line of MAME for us so that people, it's sort of an advertisement for all the people who are listening to you?
No.
Sort of the
Am
last.
I allowed to? I'll sing the whole first act of you.
Now, just the first line of MAME.
The first line?
Sure. She doesn't know it.
My first line, or
The first line of the song.
Make
the
it
first
easy on
line
yourself.
of a song?
The song, MAME.
Oh, Maine. You coax the blues right out of the horn. Maine.
But did you notice something, Angela? Every time Bennett does that, I'm trying to figure now, what if he's after something? He wanted to get in on that MAME.
I know.
Now, this is a great triumph for you, but all of us also remember many other triumphs. You were nominated for 3.
Oh, listen, John, I must
Really
stop
can't
here a
do it.
minute and tell you what a thrill it is to see Pia Lindstrom sitting here, because we met when she was a little tiny girl, when I did my first movie with our dear mother, Ingrid Gaslight. You probably don't remember, but I remember you when you were just a little sprig of a thing. But
You
here we are.
You were nominated for
An Academy Award.
Academy Award for
Magic
Gaslight
words.
was
I never
one,
got
yeah.
one, but I sure was
Oh,
nominated.
this is a
Just lovely.
happy coincidence, Pia, that you're here,
Yes.
here with us. Do you think that there's any real possibility that Bennett might make a career on the musical stage?
There's no doubt in my mind.
Thank you.
Absolutely none. Obviously,
As a high
somebody just has
kicker.
to ask him to sing.
Well, you're a great star on Broadway. You've been a great star in Hollywood, but in many other ways that you're a great person, too, because I know your heart is in muscular dystrophy, and one reason we could woo you into
Indeed it is.
to give
And
us the Sunday night.
Listen, I have to tell you that with this wonderful captive audience, this lovely group of people spread all across these great United States, I can't resist reminding everyone to give generously to Jerry Lewis's volunteers who are collecting now for the March Against Muscular Dystrophy. And if you are not approached by some loving soul to contribute in person, don't hesitate to just take those dollar bills and pop them in an envelope and mail them via.
Well, anyway, she was promoting MAME. But Jerry Herman wrote magnificent songs for MAME. It's just one good time after another. And really good.
If one had to find a predominant theme for the musicals of 1966, it would most certainly be the articulation of a personal philosophy, the unquenchable human spirit. In the confusion of contemporary life, MAME and two-time Tony winner Angela Lansbury advises us to open a new window.
a new window, open a new door, travel a new highway that's never been tried before. Before you find you're a dull fellow, punching the same clock, walking the same tightrope as everyone on the block. The fella you want to be is three-dimensional, soaking up life down to your toes. Whenever they say you're slightly unconventional, just put your thumb up to your nose and show them how to dance to a new rhythm, whistle a new song, toast with a new vintage. The fizz isn't fizz too long. There's only one way to make the bubble stay. Simply travel a new highway, dance to a new rhythm, open a new window and ring. Toast with a new vintage, but this isn't fizz too long. There's only one way to make the bubble stay. Simply travel a new highway, dance to a new rhythm, whistle a new love song, toast with a new vintage, open a new window and ring.
Then, of course, a lighthearted, fun song from Mame starred B. Arthur with Angela Lansbury. They created a real dynamic duo, and Gene Saks, the director, was actually the spouse of Beatrice Arthur.
Always be bosom buddies, friends, sisters, and pals. We'll always be bosom buddies. If life should reject you, there's me to protect you. If I say that your tongue is vicious, if I call you uncouth, it's simply that. Who else but a bosom buddy will sit down and tell you the truth? Though now and again I'm aware that my candid opinion may sting. Though often my frank observation might scald. I've been meaning to tell you for years you should keep your hair natural like mine. If I kept my hair natural like yours, I'd be bald. But, sweetie, we'll always be dear companions. My cronies, my mates. We'll always be harmonizing. Orphan Annie and Sandy, like Amos and Andy. If I say that your sense of style's as far off as your youth, it's simply that. Who else but a bosom buddy will tell you the whole stinking truth? I feel it's my duty to tell you it's time to adjust to your age. You try to be peg of my heart when you're Lady Macbeth. Exactly. How old are you, Vera? The truth. How old do you think? Oh, I'd say somewhere between 40 and death. But sweetie, I'll always be Alan Douglas if you be Gertrude Stein. And though I'll admit I've dished you, I've gossiped and gloated, but I'm so devoted. And if I say that sex and guts made you into a star, remember that. Who else but a bosom buddy will tell you how rotten you are? Just turn to your bosom buddy for aid and affection, for help and direction, for loyalty, love, and mercy. Remember that. Who else but a bosom buddy will sit down and
Then, of course, when Mame went to London, Angela did not do it. It was actually taken on by Ginger Rogers, and this is the song that What's My Line actually asked about.
Mame, honey, you've done more for the South than anyone since Robert E. Lee. You coaxed the blues right out of the horn, Mame. You charmed the husk right off of the corn, Mame. You've got the banjo strumming and bluntly are tuned to beat the band. The whole plantation's humming since you brought Dixie back to Dixieland. You make the cotton music look big, Mame. You give my home in Julep a kick, Mame. Whoever thought a Yankee would put our little Dixie bells to shame? You've made us feel alive again. You've given us the drive again to make the South revive again. You brought the cakewalk back into style, Mame. You make the weeping willow tree smile, Mame. Your skin is Dixie satin, there's rebel in your manner and your speech. You may be from Manhattan, but Georgia never had a sweeter peach. You make the old magnolia tree bud, Mame. You make camellias bloom in the mud, Mame. You make the bougainvillea turn purple at the mention of your name.
We'll take you big and far again. Tonight the chickens rise again. This time the South will rise again.
You make our black-eyed peas and our grapes, Mame. Seem like the bill of fare at the ribs, Mame. You make, you saw, you confident, absolutely nothing is the same. Your special transformational, good to be inspirational. We think you're just sensational,
Now, something you may have noticed there was there were people just standing by the side of the stage. That's because the dancers didn't really have the requirement to sing, and the singers really didn't have the requirement to dance. This was in the era where you still had a singing chorus and a dancing chorus, and the casts were big enough that you could really handle that. So, hence, you had a singing chorus and a dancing chorus. But after Mame, Angela tackles her next Jerry Herman musical, again to be written by Lawrence and Lee. Jerry Herman had such a great experience with them that he was totally thrilled to work with them again, taking the story of the Mad Woman of Chaillot and setting it to music. Well, it was not all that easy a set of circumstances. The production was far bigger than the story. Directors were fired constantly. And Angela Lansbury, as lovely a person as she was getting pretty riled up over this as well. The previews in Boston went disastrously. And it lumbered its way into New York. Angela does win another Tony for her performance, and the music that Jerry Herman wrote for this is also exceptional. You'll notice on this poster Jane Connell, an actress who was Gooch in the original Mame, also portrayed a character here. Angela liked her, and it was great that she was offered the part once again. This is Angela on Julie Andrews' talk show with Steve Lawrence about 1968.
Herman wrote some marvelous music for Dear World. I don't think very much of that music was cut before it got to Broadway.
Yes, there was a couple of songs, actually. One marvelous song called Through the Bottom of a Glass, but he wrote another song, which was just a beautiful song called I Don't Want to Know, which was in the New York production. It was my favorite number.
Sing it, Angie, do sing it.
Well, I'd love to, but I think it needs a little explaining because, after all, Dear World was the world of Aurelia, the Mad Woman of Chaillot, who is this wonderful 80-year-old woman that I've played in the show. And she loved the world, and she loved nature, and she loved people. And one day, the day arrives when her friends explain to her that the world isn't the lovely place that she thinks it is, and that the bulldozers are going to destroy these glorious buildings of Paris, and that automation is taking over the world. She just literally puts her hands over her ears and says, I don't want to hear this, don't tell me, I want to remember the world as it is. And that's when she sings, I Don't Want to Know. So maybe I could sing, have a little lovely Nelson Riddle accompaniment here. If music is no longer lovely, if laughter is no longer lilting, if lovers are no longer loving, then I don't want to know if summer is no longer carefree, if children are no longer singing, if people are no longer happy, then I don't want to know. Let me hide every truth from my eyes with the back of my hand. Let me live in a world full of lies with my head in the sand. All my memories, all are exciting, my memories, all are enchanted, my memories, burn in my head with a steady glow. So if, my friends, if love is dead, I don't want to know. Memories, all are exciting, my memories, all are enchanted, my memories, burn in my head with a steady glow. So if, my friends, if love is dead, I don't want to know.
Herman wrote
Well, after Dear World and its moderately unsuccessful run, although it did get nominated for Tonys and Angela winning. Mac and Mabel comes next, and Mac and Mabel is a lesson in don't believe your own thoughts so much that you're closed to whatever anybody else tells you. Mac and Mabel was the story of Mac Sennett and Mabel Normand. Mac Sennett, who invented the Keystone Cops and the Bathing Beauties and the Perils of Pauline and all of these great silent film stories. And Gower Champion comes back to work with Jerry under the auspices of the production of David Merrick. And everybody knew what they were getting into with David Merrick, but the story seemed exciting. And Robert Preston was cast as the original Mac Sennett, and Bernadette Peters, who had just had great success in an off-Broadway musical called Dames at Sea, a spoof of 1930s musicals, seemed to be the ideal person. Well, one of the problems, two talented actors don't necessarily make good chemistry with each other. And in the case of Robert Preston and Bernadette Peters, he was way too old for her. And although they both gave valiant performances, it didn't help. They opened in Los Angeles in an extremely large theater, and it got relatively good reviews. But then it moved to the Muni in St. Louis that seats thousands of people, and the show became unmanageably out of whack. And David Merrick kept saying, well, it's just the size of the venue. People just can't get their handle on it. And it wasn't the size of the venue at all. The script just wasn't working correctly. Then it moves to the Kennedy Center, to the Opera House, relatively new in its performing life. And again, a 2,800 seat venue, and Mac and Mabel was not faring any better. It gets mostly mediocre reviews, praising the performances of Robert Preston and Bernadette Peters and Gower Champion's incredible choreography. But it's not doing all that well, and it gets to New York to mostly miserable reviews. People just didn't really care for it, and yet the score to this day is considered to be the greatest score that Jerry Herman ever wrote. Bernadette Peters always sings music from it, and here's one piece.
When I was doing this show, putting this concert together, everyone had an opinion of what I should be singing, and I realized I had to put together a very large show. But there's one song that everyone kept asking about, and it really seems to haunt people, and I really understand it. It's from a score by Jerry Herman called Mac and Mabel. Time heals everything. April, August. If I'm patient, the break will mend. And one fine morning, the hurt will end. So make the moments fly. Autumn, winter, I'll forget you by next year. Some year, though it's hell that I'm going through. Some Tuesday, Thursday, April, August, autumn, winter, next year, some year, time heals everything. Time heals everything. Tuesday, Thursday, April, August, autumn, winter, next year, some year, time heals everything, time heals everything, but
Truly a magnificent song. Now, this was
Before we start shooting.
this was from another production of Mac and Mabel that was done later. You know, it's one of these cult musicals that everybody would like to see, but the script just really doesn't work. There's not a redeeming person in it. This is Jane Krakowski as Mabel when she discovers what her talents mean on the movie screen.
Oh, yeah? Well, I'm not coming. I got a good job at Schultz's, only 10 hours a day, every other Sunday off. Nearly $6 a week with tips. You can keep your movies. And if you think I'm getting up at 6 in the morning for anything except early mass, which I don't have to be going to tomorrow because I already happened to have went yesterday, you got another thing coming. Oh, and another thing. Don't count on getting that nickel change so quick unless you want to sue, you cheapskate. And in case you didn't know, my uncle happens to be Justice P.J. O'Rooney of the First Federal Court of Brooklyn, and all I have to do is... Jesus, Mary and Joseph. Miss Waitress from Flatbush, get down from up there. Don't you know that you're out of your class? Miss Waitress from Flatbush, I hope you're aware you're behaving like some little ass. Hey, miss. What's See that fascinating creature with perfection stamped on every feature. She was plain little Nellie, the kid from the deli, but Mother of God, look what happened to Mabel. From now on, this pile of flesh will be considered something pretty special, and this BLT down is the toast of the town. Mary and Joseph, what happened to Mabel? Every gesture and position that she takes, it's smart and meticulous. Talk about the magic that the camera makes. But this is ridiculous. Hold your tongue and hold your stickers, for the new enchantress of the flickers is that plain little Nellie, the kid from the deli. So rattle me beads, look what happened on Mabel. Someone who was plain as mutton on the street is cuter than a button, and the girl with the pickles who hustled for nickels is something to see. Look what happened to Mabel yesterday. A tip collector, but today just turn on that projector, and Miss Avenue Moore is a regular star. Mother McCree, look what happened to Mabel. Up to now, I never really knew that I could be so ambitious, but suddenly I know I have to say goodbye to bagels and knishes. I know that you might think I'm balmy, but the queen of corned beef and salami is a glamorous goddess who's busted her bodice. Oh, trumpet St. Jude! Look what happened on
Someone who was played and conquered on the street in a picture that's no longer. Look what happened to Mabel. Every gesture and position that she makes, it's not as meticulous. Talk about the man that they never makes, but it's ridiculous.
Hold your tongue and hold your snickers, all the new enchantment of the flickers is that plain little Nelly.
That plain little Nelly.
The kid from the deli.
The kid from the deli.
So rattle me deep. Look what happened over.
Now, the music from Mac and Mabel really took on all kinds of different approaches. And in the second act, there needed to be a mechanism when the characters are having all kinds of issues. Now, this was from a London concert version. And truthfully, Mac and Mabel has done better in London than it ever did here at home. I think the British are a little less picky when it comes to book issues for whatever the reason.
Tap your troubles away. You bounced a big check. Your mom has the vapors. Tap your troubles away. Your car is a wreck. There's certain papers. When you're the one that it always rains on, simply try putting your Mary Janes on. Your boss just gave you an axe. There's your back tax. Your sweet campaign with a skyfall of black always lands in your lap. Make a curtsy and tap your troubles away. Tap your troubles away. You're sued for divorce. Your brother gets locked up. Tap your troubles away. You're fat as a horse. And finally you're knocked up. When you need something to turn your mind off, why not try tapping your port behind off? Your boat goes over the falls. The plane you're on stalls. The pilot yells, pray! If your parachute strap is beginning to snap, smile a big smile, tap, tap, tap your troubles away. glide across the floor till you're after once more. It's time the trouble's away. The trouble's away.
Then, of course, the opening number. This is Howard McGillin. Howard McGillin actually played the Phantom on Broadway for more than anybody else, for 2,500 performances. But he took on the role of Max Sennett in a London production. And this is the opening number.
Movies when Pauline was tied to the track. After she trudged through the ice with a babe on her back. Girls at the seashore would stand all in a row in the sand, rolling their stockings an inch and a quarter below the line of decency. And Swanson and Keaton and Dressler and William S. Hart, no one pretended that what we were doing was art. We had some guts and some luck, but we were just making a buck. Movies were movies when I ran a show. Swanson and Keaton and Dressler and William S. Hart. No one pretended that what we were doing was art. We had some guts and some luck, but we were just making a buck. Movies were movies when I ran the show.
Well, after the relative failure of Mac and Mabel, Jerry really just started following his passion. He loved buying old houses and restoring them and decorating them. And that's really what he did. I mean, he almost had given up on the Broadway stage altogether when the story of an unlikely pair, a Polish-Jewish intellectual and needing a driver, hires an anti-Semitic colonel who knows how to drive but doesn't have a car. The two men meet in Paris and they try to escape the Nazis. And, the idea was this might become another take on sort of the cabaret story and so forth. And they really take in a lot of adventures and so forth. But one of the problems with it was a perfectly adequate musical. There's nothing terribly wrong with it. It just didn't hold together well. It was in a season where Evita had opened, and no one has really seen it since. Joel Grey gave an outstanding performance, but it just, again, it had script problems, and sometimes you get to the point where some things just can't be fixed. But La Cage aux Folles, again, Jerry Herman had decided he was finished. He was not going to write another musical at all. He was happy with his successes. He was decorating and restoring houses when he is approached by Harvey Fierstein to write the score to what he thinks will be the perfect musical based upon the French film La Cage aux Folles. Well, this was a rather complicated piece to write because, first of all, there had never, ever been on the Broadway stage a love story where two men were at the center of the love story. This was rather difficult because who were the major people who bought tickets to Broadway musicals? They're lovingly referred to as the bridge and tunnel crowd, the people who live within 30, 40 miles of New York, who come into the theater. They come to see a show and they would not want to offend them. And with having two men at the center of the story, it would have been horrendously complicated and difficult. It was directed by Arthur Lawrence, and it came off beautifully with a good touch of warmth and satire. Gene Barry took it on originally, as did George Herman.
We are, and what we are is an illusion. We love how it feels, putting on heels, causing confusion. We face life though it's sometimes sweet and sometimes bitter. Face life with a little guts and lots of glitter. Under our frocks, girdles and jocks, proving we are what we are.
Mr. George Herman.
I am what I am. I am my own special creation. So come take a look. Give me the hook. Or the ovation. It's my world that I want to have a little pride in. My world, and it's not a place I have to hide in. Life's not worth a damn till you can shout out loud, I am what I am. I am what I am. I don't want praise. I don't want pity. I bang my own drum. Some think it's
It was extremely complicated because in 1984, when La Cage aux Folles was written, they wanted the subject matter to be obvious, but they didn't want it to be too obvious. Gene Barry, of course, was the
Your romance was like.
the original leading man, and this was with Merv Griffin on his talk show.
At the beginning. What a lovely song that is.
Yes, it ain't an easy one, my friend. It's one that comes out of the reminiscence of yesterday and how we met and all of that. And it's never done as a song where you get up and sing a song to an audience in a presentational way. And it's probably the first time in the history of theater that you will ever see a song, hear a song sung, or a love song sung by a man to a man.
Right. Would you sing it for us?
I'd love to sing it to you.
I'd love to hear it. Gene Barry.
Do you recall that windy little beach we walked along? That afternoon in fall, that afternoon we met. A fellow with a concertina sang. What was the song? It's strange what we recall, and odd what we forget. I heard la da 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 as we walked on the sand. I heard la da da da. I believe it was early September. Through the crash of the waves, I could tell that the words were romantic. Something about sharing, something about always. Though the years race along, I still think of our song on the sand. And I still try and search for the words I can barely remember. Though the time tumbles by, there is one thing that I am forever certain of. I hear la da 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 da. And I'm young and in love. I believe it was early September. Through the crash of the waves, I could tell that the words were romantic. Something about sharing, something about always. Oh, the years race along, I still think of our song on the sand. And I still try and search for the words I can barely remember. Though the time tumbles by, there is one thing that I am forever certain of. I hear la da 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 da. And I'm young
Again, you heard Gene Barry discuss how complicated this was because, first of all, in the original production of La Cage aux Folles, they didn't even want the men to touch each other at the risk of offending the audience. La Cage aux Folles, when it was written in 1984, became, a great thrill on Broadway because it was so different. However, after the opening of La Cage aux Folles in 1984, the AIDS crisis surfaced, and suddenly the fun, the good, loving humor of La Cage aux Folles seemed out of place when so many gay men were dying in New York and all over the world, that La Cage fell out of favor until it was revived about 15 years ago with Kelsey Grammer and Douglas Hodge. It was an English production, totally scaled down into a small boutique kind of a musical, giving it a different feel. Now, Jerry Herman, at the opening of La Cage aux Folles, after the great reviews, he says, "I am never going to write another musical again. I have nothing else to prove," and he never did. But this is the revival of La Cage aux Folles.
Ladies and gentlemen, and you, we issue the following warning. Please remain in your seats while Les Cageals perform. The management cannot be responsible for your safety. And now, I beg you, open your eyes. You have arrived at La Cage aux Folles.
What we are, and what we are is an illusion. We love how it feels, putting on heels, causing confusion. We face life, though it's sometimes sweet and sometimes bitter. Face life with a little guts and lots of glitter. Look under our frocks, girdles and jumps, proving we are what we are.
Everything's ankle straps, Marabou, Shalimar. It's worth sucking in my gut, girdling my reel. 'Cause everything's ravishing, sensual, fabulous when our band is tucked away and
Somehow she's put a permanent star in my eye.
But after all, he's a great kid.
Even the dead of winter can feel like July.
So full of charm for a straight kid.
We start a conflagration that's cause for alarm. We're giving off
If
sparks.
there's a chance, they'll be just like Alban and me.
No, it's just not the old days. On you it looks good. On you it looks great. Oh. On you it looks great.
Somehow you've put a permanent star in my eye. Even the dead of winter can feel like July. I heard la da 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 as we walked on the sand. I heard la da da da. I believe it was early September. Through the crash of the waves, I could tell that the words were romantic. Something about sharing, something about always.
It's rather gaudy, but it's also rather grand. And while the waiter pads your check, you kiss your hand. The clever gigolos romance the wealthy matrons at La Cage aux Enfants. It's slightly 40s and a little bit new wave. You may be dancing with a girl who needs a shave. Where both the riff-raff and the royalty are patrons at La Cage aux Enfants. La Cage aux Enfants. Oh, my goodies, dashing, Cage aux Enfants. Oh, how you good it's flashing. We impart the drinks that you buy. So your Perrier is Canada Dry.
You cross the threshold and your bridges have been burned. The bar is cheering for the Duchess has returned. The move's contagious, you can bring your whole outrageous on the ride. Outrageous on the ride, it's on the ride. It's fun and hectic and the message and eclectic and the pride.
And Jerry Herman was saluted by the Kennedy Center. And this is the Kennedy Center Honors tribute to him.
Well, bonsoir. Here we are at the pride of our nation's capital, the jewel of the Potomac, the Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts. Ah, so many old friends, and so many new faces, and so many old friends with new faces. But we can linger no longer. The inevitable is upon us. You have arrived at the world of Jerry Herman.
Ladies and gentlemen, Carol Channing. Ladies and gentlemen, Matthew Morrison.
Light the candle. Get the ice out. Roll the rug up. It's to stay. Though it may not be anyone's birthday, and though it's far from the first of the year, I know that this very minute there's history in it. We're here. Tune the grand up, call the cops out, strike the band up, pull the stops out, hallelujah. It's today.
Ladies and gentlemen, Christine Baranski and Christine Ebersol.
Will always be for somebody's friends, sisters, and pals. That's who else but all for somebody will sit down and tell you the truth.
I feel it's my duty to tell you, it's time you adjust your age. You tried to be peg of my heart when you're Lady Macbeth.
Well, exactly how old are you, Christine? The truth.
Well, how old do you think?
Oh, I'd say somewhere between 40 and death.
But, sweetie, if I say that your sense of style's as far off as your youth, remember that. Oh, else but somebody will sit down and never will give you the devil will. Sit down and tell you the truth.
Ladies and gentlemen, Laura Benanti.
Time heals everything. Tuesday, Thursday. Time heals heals everything. April, August. If I'm patient, the break will mend. And one fine morning, the hurt will end. So let the moments fly, autumn, winter. I'll forget you by next year, some year, though it's hell that I'm going through. Some Tuesday, Thursday, April, August, autumn, winter, next year, some year, time heals everything. Time heals everything. But
Ladies and gentlemen, Sutton Foster.
Before the parade passes by, I've got to go and taste Saturday's highlight. Before the parade passes by, I've got to get some life back into my life. I'm ready to move out in front. I've had enough of just passing by life with the rest of them, with the best of them. I can hold my head up high for the parade passes by.
Ladies and gentlemen, Matthew Bomer and Kelly O'Hara.
It only takes a moment for your eyes to meet, and then
your heart knows in that moment you will never be alone again.
I held her.
He held me for
an instant, but my arms felt sure and strong. To be loved my whole life.
2002 Kennedy Center honoree Chita Rivera.
If music no longer loves you, if laughter no longer lilting, if lovers are no longer loving, then I don't want to know. If summer is no longer carefree, if children are no longer singing, if people are no longer happy, then I don't want to know. Let me hide the truth from my eyes with the back of my hand. Let me live in a world full of lies with my head in the sand. Oh, if my friend, if love is dead, I don't want to know.
'Cause I am my own special creation. It's my world and I want to take a little pride in my world. And it's not a place I have to hide. Not worth a damn till you can say, hey, well, I am one.
The best
was Jerry Herman. He never wrote another musical again, but certainly if you want to feel good, just pick up a Jerry Herman score and listen to it, and you'll be certainly smiling and carrying on as if, you need a bad day lift. Boy, there's a good place to go. I know there were some chat questions. I just want to see if there was anything that I need to answer. Where did I find the clip of George Hearn singing I Am What I Am? All of my clips, I find them on YouTube. You have to dig around a little bit. Another question was, do I think Mac and Mabel will ever be revived on Broadway? Well, no, probably not. The script is just not worth, it's such a bad script, not a bad script, but the characters don't fare very well. And it's hard to revive something where the people are so unlikable that nobody has a redeeming feature. I'm looking to see if there was anything else in here that I needed to answer. Mame ran with Angela Lansbury, I think about 14 months. She was replaced by Celeste Holm and Janice Page, a whole lot of people. No, actually, Ginger Rogers. No, the question was the choreography modified? Ona White did the choreography for Mame. And, Ginger Rogers could dance. They didn't really revive anything because of Ginger Rogers. But I think this is pretty much the questions that were being asked. To everybody that celebrates Passover this weekend, enjoy being together with whoever you can be with. And I look forward to seeing everybody next Friday. As usual, I'll be sending out the invitation shortly. So look for that. If you don't have it by Monday, I don't know why so many people didn't seem to get it and I had to send it again. But it looks like London theater's opening in April. I can't imagine, I'm not April, but actually in June. So who knows? Things look like they're getting better all the time. I hope you all are having some success getting vaccines and doing what you need to do. Thanks everybody. Take care. See you all next Friday. Bye-bye.